What's up, Samurai? We are back as Trove, and today we're going to be tackling the Tomb Raiser in the 45k series. And I just wanted to note, because I'm assuming that some of you guys are going to end up commenting about this. I'm currently on my trip, so I can only speculate. But a lot of you are probably wondering why I'm only ever using Starry Skyfire. Well, that's because the only other good magic ally in the game is Archean, which is... well, it requires Paragon marks, which are very rarely obtained from Paragon Pinatas. The game has not blessed me with this Paragon's mark, and so, unfortunately, I don't have this ally, okay? So that's why we're just always using this sucker right here, which gives us the increased cooldown, rather than the movement speed. So, with Tomb Raiser, this is one of my favorite classes. So, you're in for a treat. Well, mostly I'm in for a treat. Gameplay-wise, it's very, very basic. We just kind of stand there and kill things. Tomb Raiser's hidden class gem or hidden ring effect, the best ability. He's got a couple options here. So there's going to be Banshee's Blast, which basic attacks have a chance to summon baby Banshees, which is pretty good. Ghost More reduces the energy drain from Ghost Form, which gives us essentially even more invincibility than we already had. And then Skell-Biggle Split, which is using Bone Tirage, has a chance to summon a larger Skell-Little. When this large Skell-Little dies, it will spawn baby Skell-Littles. That is going to be your best option for the hidden ring effect. All of them are good. But that one's the best because these Skell-Biggles deal more damage, and you can have like a full stack of them to replace your baby units, and it goes nutty. Like, this character just pops off. Now I also am going to end up using, there it is, the that effect. I don't know why I'm using Unyielding. I need to actually be using Trailblazing. Unyielding is just, I don't know why I even had that. So Tomb Raiser, we're going to end up doing some speed farming here. I'm going to start our timer for 5 minutes, and then we'll go into the delves while I kind of explain and talk about the class itself. So as far as damage is concerned, you can see we're fine. Oh, I miss playing on Tomb Raiser, dude. Like, genuinely. I love this class. I really, really do. Damage is fine, but Trove's speed farming usually gets... Whoops! It's been a long time since I used this guy. Speed farming gets broken up into two categories. Namely, how fast can you get from point A to point B, and then how fast can you actually destroy everything within the dungeon itself, right? And Tomb Raiser's got a really, really slow time to kill. Our movement speed is okay. You can see we've got 185 movements. Well, that was because Pyro Disc, actually. Where's my base movement speed? We get lower movement speed when we use our left click. 135. So pretty much the same standard that every class ends up getting, so long as... What direction am I facing? So long as we end up having the skill tree movement abilities, right? So honestly, you're not going to be using this character for speed farming. But that said, because of the fact that we can basically get every character in the game to be a speedy boy right now, it doesn't make as much of a difference as you would think. You can see right there that by using a flash, we get up to 155 movement speed. So we're still well over mount movement speed. It is a little bit unfortunate, though, and does mean that we don't really get to see... we don't really get to use this character that much or see this character that much in terms of just normal grinding, right? But as far as just raw damage is concerned, you can see we are fine. Tomb Raiser has always been fine in terms of damage. We're already just doing like casual 1 mil barrage of damage, and then as soon as we throw our babies into the mix, it just deals even more damage. Now the thing is, you'll also notice I'm not really using any of my flasks. So our damage is even higher than that. I also want to use Conjurer's Crucible because we're basically invincible on this character anyways. When we use our number 1, we get a 90% damage reduction, which just means that we don't die. Especially with the lifesteal ability of the skill tree. But let's see if we can get a good example of raw damage on these boys. Not really. Everything's being very uncooperative to me right now. So unfortunately, it's a little bit tricky. But if I can get all of my Chongo Bongo damage going and not get knocked around, because knockback is a thing in this stupid game, I also am too used to using Death Defying. See, the thing is that in order for me to be invincible, I have to be outputting damage, and I get distracted by things all the time because I'm so used to using Death Defying for years. And so I'm dying a lot more now, despite the fact that I'm invincible. Like, so I might go back to Death Defying, honestly, is what I'm saying. But anyways, yeah, so can you end up maining the Tomb Raiser? Most definitely. We've got the output of damage. That's perfectly fine. In terms of just normal, what the heck is going on? We don't seem to be life stealing nearly as much as we should be. This game is being dumb. I blame the lag. We can't speed farm that great, but we can still deal with dungeon enemies at a decent speed. The problem is that we don't have more movement speed and we don't have good clear times as well, because unfortunately all of our damage, as you see, is locked behind our minions. So we basically have to get them going, which is an extra step to destroy the dungeon boss, versus other characters like Neo Ninja, Shadowhunter, or even Solarian, where we're just dealing heaps of damage immediately rather than actually like having to wait for our babies to start dealing the damage, right? Now, the other thing too is that the class can be pretty decent as a boss killer and also really good in delves, just because normally we're invincible. I don't know why I was dying. But anyways, I think that's good enough showcase of doing Sundered Uplands, because these are the strongest enemies in the game and we're just mopping the floor with them. Or were they mopping the floor with me? But yeah, Tomb Raiser just, for me, has always been a favorite. The only reason I don't use it more in like my streams or even just behind the scenes is, frankly speaking, because it's not good for speed farming. And I don't like swapping my gems if I don't have to, which means that I'm dealing with true pain recording all of these 45K videos, because unfortunately I have to swap my gems every single video. And those of you that have played on mouse and keyboard know my pain. So even though regeminators have been removed from the game and we can swap gems on the fly anytime that we want, it doesn't mean that it's not extremely tedious, because you gotta point, drag, and click all of your gems one at a time like an idiot into your inventory, because Trove doesn't know what loadouts are. I would love it if Trove had loadouts. I know that they probably never will, because the mechanics just don't really uphold something like that, but it would be beautiful. Anyways, yeah, Delves is not really much of a challenge for this guy, because we do have the damage, but more particularly, we have the survivability. That's kind of where Tomb Raiser really shines with Delves and even with bosses, is that you're basically invincible, even to the point where a U10 Leviathan can use its attack that kills you through Death Defying, which still doesn't feel right? It just, I don't know, it feels it's unintentional. But you can end up using your Banshee's Boon, your #1 ability, that will end up making you invisible for a moment. And that can negate damage if the game decides to bless you with the RNG of the U10 Leviathan's damage output, because sometimes it can just kill you through anything, which is not intentional. But then that's also why I was using Unyielding, just because that would end up being very useful. This is also one of the only classes in the game that's very, very useful to use. Vial of Unleashed Power. That's right. So whenever you end up using your ult, it'll end up triggering your emblems, which for most of the Tomb Raiser's days used to be really, really good. So herein lies a little bit of the problem with the character. We have to get all of our babies up to purple health, sacrifice them to the Dark Lord, and then you'll notice that our babies still all have purple health. So funny enough, that's a bug that doesn't seem to have been resolved. And you can see, not only am I not taking damage, but everything is just being decimated. So the thing is, here's the trick. Here's why I think that this is a bug, because normally what happens is your purple minions, as you can see right there, they have a limited amount of time to be purple health. And what normally happened when the Tomb Raiser first got its rework is you would sacrifice the purple health of your minions to your ultimate, which meant that you had to rebuild up your minions into purple health bar. However, I don't actually think it's a glitch. I think it's intentional. I think that the devs changed it without telling us and made it so that the purple health bar was on a timer rather than being something that was sacrificed. And so, thankfully, Tomb Raiser can end up having its output of damage at maximum a lot quicker than having to summon minions, get them purple, get your ult purple, get your babies purple as well. But again, you know, as a quick synopsis of the character, too long didn't read. Yes, you can definitely main the character. You are going to be a pretty good boss killer. You're very good in delves just because the survivability allows you to go very, very deep. You're not going to be very good for speed farming. Just in general, you don't really have the quickness that other classes do from traveling from dungeon to dungeon. And then when you get into the dungeon, it takes a little bit of extra effort in order to output damage. You are going to end up being essentially invincible, especially if you use Death Defying. I don't know why I was so squishy. That's why I'm squishy, because what is with my health? It's really low. What are my stats? Oh, dear Lord. Yeah, because I have crit hit and I have overtuned stats because I keep swapping these gems to all my other classes. Normally, I would have a lot more max health, like 2 to 3 mil. So that's why I was getting one shot by everything in Sundered Uplands. Anyways, yeah, I love the class just because it's unga bunga stupid. You don't really got focus on it or anything like that. Also, just the style of the character, man, and having all your babies and stuff. Draco's a strong second for me, or, you know, even about equal, frankly speaking. But yeah, you can main Tomb Raiser, and we'll call it there. Thanks for watching. Smash like stuff for more. Buy the merch you want to support the channel, and have a wonderful day.